So, in more dark news, Neil Gorsuch was approved to the Supreme Court earlier last week. This marks a historic event for historically shitty reasons. And it's actually pretty serious because what Republicans did not only stepped over a line, it changed the way our democracy functions. An essential part of our democracy, the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, the court that sets precedent into law when it makes a ruling. If it wasn't for the Supreme Court, we wouldn't have many of the rights we have today due to political infighting, due to partisan refusal to work with one another. There's so many factors that go into why we don't get the things we want, including, moneyed interests and companies lobbying on behalf of their interests to get an outcome that they find favorable and helps their profit motive or helps their investors. But they're not going to have to worry because their Supreme Court nomination, Neil Gorsuch, will take care of them. Let's just say this guy pretends to be a constitutionalist, or a constitutional originalist, meaning that he interprets the Constitution the way it was written in the time it was written. That's it. Now, not only is this a stupid thing to believe, it's not even what he is shown to practice in law, but let's just take him at his word and assume that everything they wrote back then in that context of that time was right. These are the same people that thought slaves were 3/5 of a man. Or before that even. They had slaves. Benjamin Franklin said that it was a living document, meaning that it's supposed to be interpreted over time. With every new generation comes change. I think that's obvious in human culture. And change has pretty much worked out for the better, if you ask me. We have the Women's Rights Act. We have suffrage, the suffrage movement. We had desegregation. We freed the slaves, then we had desegregation, and everything's not perfect now. We still have some institutional racism and cultural racism as well. But we've moved a long way from where we were and where we were as a country. And up to now, we have LGBT protections that were never even a thing 50 years ago. Now gay and lesbian couples can get married for the first time. And that's awesome. It is giving more freedom to more people. That's what progressivism or liberalism has always been about. It's helping people move forward. It's coming up with new ideas and new solutions to problems that arise over time. And Neil Gorsuch is the epitome of that. This guy wants to keep us stuck in the 1700s. So some things on the chopping block. Birthrights, abortion, money in politics, women's rights to choose. He's even anti-Planned Parenthood. As we know, Trump just allowed states to defund Planned Parenthood. He does not believe that church and state should be separated. He is for basically a Christian theocracy. And that is scary. Not because I'm an atheist and I don't think that, or I'm afraid of Christians in a larger sense. I am afraid of ideologues that pervert and take advantage of the Christianity that people follow and practice to be decent humans. I've met so many good people, and they may have their beliefs, but I know for a fact they can't impress them on me. So what makes Neil Gorsuch think he can impress them on other people? And now a lot of people are going to be saying, well, you can't talk shit about him. He hasn't even dealt with the case yet. And you know what? I can talk shit about him until he takes away my First Amendment right to speech, which apparently he believes should be extended to corporations because he believes that they're people and should be protected with the rights of people. One of his first cases actually will determine whether or not corporations can be held liable in negligence cases abroad. Basically saying, can a company be liable for a person being hurt in another country? From what I understand, I might have the specific phrasing of that wrong, but something along those lines. So, guarantee he votes on the side of the corporations and not the people. People like Neil Gorsuch, he's young too. He's only 49 years old, meaning he could be on there for 3.5 decades. And, as time goes on and science gets more advanced, people are only going to live longer. So we might have a cyborg Neil Gorsuch ruling on the Supreme Court forever before Ruth Bader Ginsburg gets to experience it first. So the nuclear option